Living overseas, far away from home, would be a challenging time for Indonesians, especially on Ramadan, where being away from family and friends is difficult for some. One Indonesian diaspora, Nadine Anissa ZR, who is currently observing fasting in Turkey, will share her story on the topic. We are now connected with Nadine through Zoom. Hello, Nadine. Good afternoon from Jakarta. Thank you for joining us on World Today.
Hello, good afternoon.
So Nadine, can you tell us in which city in Turkey are you actually at right now?
Okay, so I'm currently pursuing my bachelor degree in Bandırma University in Bandırma, Turkey. So Bandırma is like a port city, approximately 2 hours from Istanbul. And yeah.
All right, that's interesting. Now, before we talk about your Ramadan experience in Turkey, could you first tell us about where you're from in Indonesia and what has been the experience like spending Ramadan in Turkey?
Okay, in Indonesia, I'm from Bekasi. Yeah, and then, Bekasi, West Java. And then for the experience of fasting in Turkey, overall, like fasting in Turkey, I think has been a unique and, of course, a meaningful experience. Like the atmosphere during Ramadan, I think it's very, very lively. And then especially in my city, because like I think it depends on the city itself. Like I don't know about other city, like in Istanbul or something or another city, but in my city, it's the atmosphere of Ramadan is very, very lively. Like there is a strong cultural and religious presence here. And then from the cultural experience itself, like there is this drummers waking people up for sahur, and then like iftar gathering and something like that. I think the spirit of Ramadan is quite strong here. And then the mosques, of course, are always full of people who perform Tarawih prayers every night. Yeah, I think in here in Banderma, the sense of community is very evident here.
All right, I imagine it must be quite fascinating to be spending the Ramadan month in Turkey because
Yeah, of
Turkey,
course.
similar to Indonesia, is a Muslim majority country. But although we have that similarity, there must be also some differences. Could you tell us what has been the biggest differences of spending Ramadan in Turkey compared to Indonesia, or maybe in particular in Bekasi?
Okay, so I think one of specific differences, like one of the biggest differences, is of course the duration of fasting. In Indonesia, we only have 2 seasons, and here in Turkey there are 4 seasons, and depending on the season, fasting hours can be longer or even shorter than in Indonesia. Like, yeah, and then beside of that, I think the most specific differences is like the cultural traditions. Like, for example, in Turkey, people often break their fast with these foods that only available during Ramadan. So as far as I know, there is these 3 foods that only available during Ramadan. First, it's pide. So pide is like a chewy bread. People usually eat it with soup. And then there is sherbet. Sherbet is like a syrup, a sweet drink made by ginger and syrup. I think it sounds a little bit weird to drink like mix of ginger and syrup, but I think it's surprisingly good. And then the third food is like there is this dessert called goulash. So goulash is similar like baklava. If you know baklava it's like a layered pastry, but for goulash they made it with rose water. Maybe it sounds a little bit weird too, but yeah, it's surprisingly good. That's for the food, the difference on the food. And and then yeah, I think that's the biggest differences, the specific differences.
Okay, now I love baklava, and hearing you telling us about baklava has successfully made me want to order one right away. Thank you for that, Nadine. Now let's talk about rituals. I mean, if you talk about Ramadan rituals in Indonesia, you can name a few, like going for takjil and then going to taraweh with your
Mhm.
friends and that sort of things. But can you name some of the traditions in Turkey that has been the most memorable for you when spending the Ramadans there?
Oh, okay. So Turkey has so many special Ramadan traditions. Like there is this one called Ramazan Davulcusu. So Ramazan Davulcusu is like there's this guy who go around the neighborhood waking people up with a drum in his side. Yeah, I think that's one of the most meaningful tradition. I mean, like, yeah, that's one. And two, in some cities, like there are cultural performances and religious lectures in the mosque and or like in the public square and something like that. And then there is this event called like Iftar 10. In this Iftar 10 is um like the government and the charities or like community Muslim community, they give and they serve a free whole meal for people who is fasting in the specific place. Maybe there's this tent in the city hall, or sometimes people just like this even sometimes is they will just like set up long tables in the middle of the street, like creating a warm and welcoming atmosphere. And these events always there. It's every day. Like the government, this community always held these events. So if you fasting in Turkey, you don't have to worry where to break your fast, because there's so many places who serve free whole meal food for people who is fasting. Yeah, and it's not just only takjil or snack. It's a whole meal. Like there's the appetizer, and then the main course, and then the dessert also there. It's all on the table for free. Yeah.
Wow, Nadine, it seems that you have fully immersed yourself in the traditions of Turkey. Now, maybe you can also tell us about your life with other Indonesian students. Do you have like Indonesian community that you're still connecting with, especially now in the month of Ramadan?
Mhm. So beside of my studies, I usually active in some of organization here, especially PP Turkey. It's a organization for Indonesian student in Turkey.
Okay.
And then there is this organization in my city, Bandirma, PPI Bandirma. And then I actively involved in this organization because here in Bandirma there is, as far as I know, until now there is 200 students, Indonesian students, and we also help book bar here. Like maybe sometimes I went to my friend's apartment and then we cook together and break our fast together and something like that. And yeah, I think it's very, very warm. Like people in Indonesia, Indonesian people here are very warm, and like the sense of togetherness is always here.
Okay, that's wonderful. It seems you still get a taste of home, although you're quite far away in Turkey. So, Nadine,
Yeah,
lastly, I
yeah,
want
of
to
course.
ask you, what are your plans for Idul Fitri? Because Ramadan month is nearing soon. Are you planning to go home? Are you staying there? What's in the agenda for you?
Actually, for this Ramadan, because like the final, no, not final exam, but midterm exam is near, like it's next week. So I can't go back to my country. I can't go back to Indonesia. So me and my friends here, like we are planning to make our kind of lebaran. So we planning to cook by ourselves, cook rendang by ourselves, cook opor ayam by ourselves, and another Ramadan food, Ramadan Indonesian food. And yeah, that's my plan for this Ramadan here. So I will celebrate it in Bandirma.
All right, Nadine, since you're not coming back home to Indonesia, there's a slight chance that your family in Bekasi is watching you right now as you're going live on World Today. So maybe you have a few words to say to them, to your friends and families back home in Indonesia, in Bekasi. This is your chance. Go ahead, Nadine.
Okay, I think I'm very thankful for my family in Indonesia and my friends, of course. I miss you guys so much, and I'm doing great here. I love spending Ramadan here in Turkey, and I hope I can. I hope you guys can pray for me because the exam is near, the midterm exam is near, and then Happy Ramadan, Bayramlar, selamat lebaran semuanya. Thank you so much.
Nadine, thank you so much for spending time with us on World Today. We wish you all the best for the remaining of your Ramadan. Thank you, Nadine. Take care.
Thank you so much.